Ladies and gentlemen, here's the question.
Yes!
Well, the answer is you did, and I did, and Beth Parmar did. You've got kids, haven't you?
I have. I've got 3.
Oh, blimey, which makes you absolutely perfectly qualified to talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Sibling rivalry.
Yeah. Can I share a little bit of what I suffered as a child? My brothers, who I love dearly, all beat me up practically every day. Now, I don't know what that did to shape the rest of my life. I love them dearly and I get on with them fabulously well, but I'd have been much happier looking back on my life as a child without the bloodshed. Help me out. Help out all those kids out there who are being duffed in by their brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we've had some questions this time actually about what do I do when my kids fight with each other.
Yeah.
We're talking about physical fights here.
Yeah.
So what can we do? So, should we launch straight in with it?
Let's just kick straight in. Oh, I shouldn't have said kick. Violence is obviously very, very in the forefront of my mind today. All right, so I'm going to set the scene. I walk into my lounge and one of my kids is beating 7 shades out of the other. What do I do?
What you do is you don't give your attention to the one who's beating up the other one.
Yeah.
What you do is you give all your attention to the child who's getting beaten up.
Well, that was very clear, actually. That was very clear. So basically, my instinct tends to be you go in, the person that's causing the trouble, you give them a big telling off,
Yes.
you send them out of the room
Yes.
with a thick ear, no, not a thick ear, but with an earful, and you're saying that's not the best thing.
No, because a lot of child's behaviour comes from wanting some kind of attention, and children can't always recognise whether it's positive attention or negative attention, and they can't always tell the difference because to them it's just attention.
Right.
Yeah. So what you need to do is you need to change your focus of your attention. So to ignore the behaviour that you don't want, and to give attention to the behaviour that you do want.
Yes, I see. So in a
So-
funny kind of way, you're saying that the fight is a manifestation of the child wanting attention, but their behaviour is negative. So if you don't give them the attention, you'll circumnavigate that bad behaviour.
Then it's likely that it could die out for the future. I mean, there's a lot of reason to sibling rivalry, and I'm not saying it's all about attention seeking.
Yeah.
But there is an element of attention seeking.
Sure.
Yeah. Especially when there's been some physical nature to it, and they've got injured, and you maybe got tears, and there's a lot of kind of adrenaline flowing.
Blood, teeth on the carpet.
Then I think you definitely need to separate them and let them cool down. But I don't think you would separate them as a punishment. I don't think it's a go to your room as a punishment. I think it's a let's go into separate rooms of the house now because you both need to calm down. Or go and do an activity, maybe send one out in the garden, maybe kick a football around.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because that sounds like a reward in a way, but yes, I mean, I'm holding my hands up here as just a parent that's out to learn new tips and techniques, because I would, in the past, have sent the naughty one out as a punishment, but what you're saying is hold back from that punishment element, but do the same
Let them
thing.
cool off. Because what we're talking about here, sibling rivalry and siblings punching the
Jesus.
out of each other, is about a real extreme build-up of feelings. Yeah, and if you punish severely the one who's been doing all of the punching, what you're going to do is you're going to cause him to resent his sibling even more, probably, because he's got in trouble for that. And all kids are learning to do in this process is how to deal with their feelings. So if we can do things with our children that help them to be able to deal with their feelings, so we need to teach them that when they get into the snake part of their brain, do you remember that week we talked about the snake and the rabbit and the fight or flight adrenaline stuff, we need to teach our kids strategies for getting calm after those things. So by separating them, it's not as a punishment, it's teaching them how to manage their feelings.
Right, through a cooling off period.
And there's a load of things they can do. They can go upstairs and whack their pillow, they can listen to loud music, they can play football, but they need to be separate from each other.
Sure. Is there an element of punishment that's appropriate, or is it all about separating them, giving them some headspace and approaching it in a different way? Because if somebody's, if my little boy's been hurt in a really nasty way by my bigger boy, it doesn't tend to happen actually, but just hypothetically, is there not a punishment to be dealt out at all?
There's definitely a learning to be taught to the one who's been bullying, who's been beating up.
Yes.
And that needs to come a little bit later once everyone's calmed down.
Okay.
I think it's not a heat of the moment thing, because there's too much adrenaline going on. And I think as parents we tend to want to dish out all of the remedies while the feelings are still heightened, when we just need to let it calm down and revisit it when we can all be a bit more logical and a bit calmer about it. So with the aggressor, with the one who's been causing the fight, we need to be pointing out the positive traits that child has got and not just focusing on the bad behaviour. Along the lines of, I know you're capable of being better than that. I've seen how caring you are to your
Yes.
brother. I've seen how you help him do his football training or
Yeah.
whatever. And pointing out all of that stuff, just try to flip the mentality that you're not labelling them
Sure.
as a bully. you
Yeah,
know, as
sure.
someone who's nasty. So you really need to be focusing on on things. Punishment is a very personal thing. And I'm not here to tell anybody how to punish their child and what to punish their children for. So if you believe that it is appropriate for you to punish your child by
either putting them in the cupboard under the stairs or in the coal cellar outside the front door, depending on the weather. Is that the sort of thing you mean?
or maybe by holding back a treat.
But I really like the understair cupboard thing. We've got a little chair in there. There's a light.
Hey, I'm not here to judge.
All right, fair enough. But what would you do? Seriously, if you.
What would I do with a punishment?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's what is it you're trying to achieve? What lesson is it you want to teach? Because
That's a blooming good question. Because most of the time, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but you just want peace. You want peace. You want the aggravation to stop.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is you have to take a slightly longer view for it to slow down and eventually come to a halt.
What's the end result? Is it that you want your children to behave a little bit nicer towards each other? And you've got to punish on that basis, really. And if it's whether you think punishment is right or wrong. I would probably sooner that my kids knew very strongly what's right and what's wrong. And the more you punish, the more resentment you can get. And I'm not saying never punish your children, that's not what I'm saying, but I think it's addressing the root cause of what's going on.
I'm definitely going to do something about that understair cupboard thing. You think I was joking. The point is, he's got a flat screen telly in there and an Xbox. Do you know what I mean? No, it's interesting. We don't tend to dish out punishments an awful lot in our household. We do try and do the right things, but again, it's all about giving new ideas to parents who are struggling with age-old problems. Am I right?
Yeah. And another thing is not to encourage victim mentality with the party who's getting injured. So yes, by all means show attention and deal with any injuries that are happening. But it's a fine line between giving the right amount of attention and creating a victim mentality in your child as well. So encouraging them to stand up for themselves and not focusing on, oh, poor you, oh, you've been bullied, oh, you've been hit, oh, poor thing. Because then you're just going to create a mentality that they're going to go through life with a victim mentality. And I think we probably all know people that we could name in our adult life who maybe have a bit of a victim mentality.
Oh, well, I would have a victim mentality, but to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think I'm up to it, not me. I used to get beaten up an awful lot at home, and what my mum used to do was tell off my bigger brother and then tell me off for being in the way. I mean, it was all a complete and utter mess. This is why I'm a psychological minefield of miseries and multifarious sorrows. Go on.
Yeah, because we just don't know where to put our attention sometimes, do we? We want to go in and fix the situation, but it's putting the attention in the right place. So with the child who's being beaten up or being beaten up by the other sibling, just point out their strengths. Just say, I've seen, you can stand up for yourself. I can see you can do that, and really start building them up so they're getting that confidence.
And presumably in that, at the same time, you're building in the notion that you don't need to hit to stand up for yourself.
Exactly. Use words. You don't need to use fists.
You can use words. You don't need to use fists. All right, that's good. Because of course, you could encourage them to stand up for themselves, and they think that gives them the right to then go and smack their elder sibling in the cake hole. I said, "That's all right. Mummy said it was good."
Yeah.
It's worth saying, of course, that fights happen in every decent family because there's emotions. We don't want to strip away the emotions. We want to contain and direct them in a really wonderful, positive way. So round off then, if you were to give me 3 points out of what we discussed, what would be the bullet point guidelines?
Watch where your focus of attention is going. Make sure you're ignoring the behaviour that you don't want and paying attention to the behaviour you do want. Ignore the aggressor. Make all the focus on the person who's being injured. Separate them, not necessarily out of punishment, but just to let them cool off and get them into the habit of being able to cool down and get out of that reptilian part of their brain. And just encourage at a later time, when you're talking about it, when you've calmed down, encourage the positive traits in each sibling.
Blimey, that was good. It almost sounded like you knew what you were on about. How about that? Listen, it's been another absolutely fascinating and scintillating discussion with Beth Parmar. Now, you're trading under a new title, or what's going on at the moment?
I am. I'm relaunching my website, and it will be bethparmar.co.uk, and there's going to be a load of stuff. You'll be able to find these podcasts on there. There'll be some blogs on there, and the video clips.
Oh yeah, I've seen the video. The video's excellent, isn't it?
Very good.
Yeah, all right. Well, look, as ever, please, any questions that you've got, you can ping them up on our Audio Boo page. You can email them to Beth at
beth@superkids.me.uk.
Okay, and just give them your phone number in case they need to call you with any desperate measures. Are you good for that emergency call-outs and stuff?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to have a chat with you if if there's something that you want to discuss, and I do a lot of one-to-one work with parents as well, and I work with kids as well. So yeah, I'll be more than happy to have a chat. 07775 565 220.
All right, this is Paul Ryan and Beth Parmar signing off, and remember, look after yourselves.